The three most valuable assets we own, how we surrendered all three to algorithms. There are many things human beings spend their lives trying to acquire. Money, houses, cars, jewelry, status, degrees, businesses, investments. We are constantly told to protect our possessions because possessions have value. But there are three assets far more valuable than anything sitting in a bank account or garage. Our time, our mind, our body. And unlike money, once these assets are spent, they cannot simply be replaced. You can lose money and make it again. You can lose a house and buy another one. You can lose a car and purchase another. But you cannot recover yesterday. You cannot simply purchase another mind after allowing yours to be programmed. And you cannot replace a lifetime spent destroying your body. This is where the modern algorithm enters the story. The algorithm doesn't need to steal your possessions. It doesn't need to break into your house. It doesn't need to put a gun in your face. It has discovered something much more powerful. It can convince you to voluntarily surrender your most valuable assets. And perhaps the most disturbing part is that many of us don't even recognize that we've surrendered them. We call it entertainment. We call it staying connected. We call it keeping up with the world. We call it scrolling. But underneath all those innocent descriptions is an enormous system competing for one thing: your attention. Because whoever controls your attention has access to your time. Whoever controls your attention can influence your mind. And what influences your mind eventually influences your behavior, and therefore your body. That is how the three assets become connected. First, they found a way to capture our time. Time is the one asset every human being receives in limited supply. Nobody knows exactly how much they have. That's what makes it so valuable. Every morning, you receive another withdrawal from the account of life. 24 hours. Not 25. Not 30. And whatever portion of those hours disappears can never be deposited back into the account. Yet we live in an age where algorithms have become extremely sophisticated at making us spend time without consciously deciding to spend it. Think about the phrase, "I'll just look for a minute." That minute becomes 10. 10 becomes 30. 30 becomes an hour. And suddenly an evening has disappeared. The remarkable thing is that nothing physically forced you to stay. There was no locked door. No chain. No prison guard. You remained because the system continuously supplied another piece of information designed to keep you there. Another video. Another headline. Another argument. Another image. Another notification. Another recommendation. The algorithm studies what captures your attention and then feeds you more of it. If anger keeps you watching, it can give you anger. If outrage keeps you clicking, it can give you outrage. If controversy keeps you engaged, it can give you controversy. If entertainment keeps you scrolling, it can give you entertainment. The objective isn't necessarily to make you wiser. The objective is to keep you engaged. And engagement requires time. This creates something psychologically dangerous. We begin spending our time without experiencing the feeling that we're spending it. When you spend $100, you notice. When you spend 5 hours scrolling, you may barely notice. Money leaves your account visibly. Time disappears invisibly. And that makes time extraordinarily easy to steal. But there is something even deeper happening. Because the algorithm isn't merely taking minutes. It is taking fragments of your life. The conversation you didn't have. The book you didn't read. The walk you didn't take. The exercise you skipped. The business idea you never developed. The person you could have called. The quiet moment you could have spent thinking. The algorithm doesn't have to destroy your life. It only has to occupy enough of it. Second, they discovered how to enter the mind. Time is the first asset. But the second is even more valuable. The mind. Your mind is the control center of your existence. Your beliefs originate there. Your opinions develop there. Your fears live there. Your ambitions live there. Your imagination lives there. Your understanding of yourself and the world is constructed there. For most of human history, controlling another person's mind required enormous effort. Education, propaganda, political power, religious institutions, military force, mass media. But the digital age introduced something different. Instead of broadcasting the same message to everyone, algorithms can increasingly personalize what each individual sees. You and I can sit in the same room, open the same platform, and enter completely different psychological environments. You see what captures you. I see what captures me. The system learns our interests, our reactions, our habits, and our weaknesses. Then it becomes better at predicting what will hold our attention. That creates an unusual relationship between human beings and technology. We think we are using the machine, but the machine is also studying us. Every click teaches it something. Every pause teaches it something. Every search teaches it something. Every video you finish teaches it something. Every video you abandon teaches it something. Your behavior becomes data. Your attention becomes information. Your emotional reactions become signals. And eventually the system can become remarkably good at predicting what you're likely to consume next. That's where the question becomes uncomfortable. If something continuously determines what information enters your mind, how much of your thinking remains entirely your own? That doesn't mean algorithms control every thought you have. It means the environment surrounding your thoughts can be heavily influenced. And environments matter. If you spend hours consuming fear, you may begin seeing the world through fear. If you spend hours consuming anger, the world can begin looking like an endless collection of enemies. If you constantly consume luxury, you may begin believing your own life is inadequate. If you constantly consume outrage, peace can begin feeling boring. If you constantly consume short-form entertainment, sustained concentration can become more difficult. The algorithm doesn't necessarily have to tell you what to believe. It can simply influence what you repeatedly think about. And what we repeatedly think about eventually becomes part of the architecture of our minds. The most powerful trick, making us believe we are choosing. Perhaps the most sophisticated part of the system is that we still experience ourselves as free. We choose the video. We choose the post. We choose the platform. We choose when to stop. And technically, we do. But there is a difference between having the ability to choose and having an environment designed to influence your choices. Imagine walking into a casino. You are free to leave. But everything around you is designed to make leaving less attractive. The lights, the sounds, the rewards, the near misses, the constant stimulation. Digital platforms can operate according to a similar principle, except you carry the casino in your pocket, and it follows you everywhere. The bedroom, the bathroom, the restaurant, the workplace, the automobile, the gym, the doctor's waiting room, the dinner table, even the moments when you're supposed to be alone with yourself. There's always something waiting. And this leads to the third asset. Third, they influence the body through the mind. At first glance, the body seems separate from algorithms. What does scrolling have to do with your physical health? More than we might realize. The body follows behavior. Behavior often follows thought. And thought is influenced by what repeatedly occupies the mind. Consider what happens when entertainment becomes easier than movement. Instead of walking, we watch someone walk. Instead of exercising, we watch fitness videos. Instead of cooking, we order food through an app. Instead of going outside, we consume images of the outside world. Instead of participating in life, we sometimes become spectators of other people's lives. The irony is profound. We can watch millions of people exercising while sitting completely still. We can watch people travel while remaining on the couch. We can watch people build businesses while endlessly consuming business advice. We can watch people create art while consuming someone else's content. We can watch people live while postponing our own living. And eventually the body pays the bill. Sedentary behavior, poor sleep, stress, overconsumption, constant stimulation, less physical activity, more screen time. The body doesn't understand that we were entertained. It simply responds to what we repeatedly do. And there is another connection. The algorithm doesn't merely influence what we do physically. It can influence what we crave. Food advertising, lifestyle influencers, luxury culture, beauty standards, fitness culture, consumer culture. All of these can create desires that didn't necessarily exist before we encountered them. Suddenly, the body isn't just being entertained. It is being marketed to. The algorithm doesn't need to control everything. This is important. The argument isn't that algorithms are evil or that technology is inherently destructive. Algorithms can be extraordinarily useful. They help us find information. They help us navigate. They help us communicate. They help us discover music, books, education, and opportunities. The problem begins when convenience becomes dependence. The danger isn't necessarily technology itself. The danger is unconscious surrender. A tool becomes dangerous when we stop controlling how we use it. And that is the real issue. We often talk about privacy. We talk about data. We talk about artificial intelligence. We talk about social media. But perhaps we should be asking a more fundamental question. Who controls our attention? Because attention is the doorway. Control attention, and you gain access to time. Influence attention, and you influence thought. Influence thought, and you can influence behavior. Influence behavior long enough, and you influence the body. 3 assets. 1 chain. Time, mind, body. What did we surrender? Perhaps the greatest tragedy isn't that technology took these things from us. It is that we participated in giving them away. We give away our time 1 scroll at a time. We give away our minds 1 recommendation at a time. We give away portions of our physical lives 1 sedentary hour at a time. And because each individual decision seemed insignificant, we didn't recognize the accumulation. That's how surrender works in the modern world. It doesn't always arrive dramatically. Sometimes it arrives as a notification. Sometimes it arrives as 1 more video. Sometimes it arrives as an advertisement. Sometimes it arrives as an endless feed. Sometimes it arrives disguised as entertainment. And perhaps the most dangerous phrase in the entire digital age is, "It's only a few minutes." Because a few minutes repeated every day eventually becomes years. Taking the 3 assets back. The answer isn't necessarily to throw away your phone. It isn't to reject technology. It isn't to disappear from society. The answer is to become conscious again. Protect your time. Protect your mind. Protect your body. Schedule periods when the algorithm doesn't have access to you. Put the phone down. Read something that wasn't selected specifically to keep you engaged. Sit in silence. Walk without headphones. Exercise without filming it. Have conversations without checking notifications. Allow yourself to become bored. Boredom is not always the enemy. Sometimes boredom is the doorway through which original thought enters. Your mind needs empty space. Your body needs movement. Your life needs unstructured time. And perhaps most importantly, you need moments when nothing is trying to sell you anything, frighten you, entertain you, or convince you of anything. Moments when you can simply exist. Because your attention is not an unlimited resource. Your life is not an unlimited resource. Your body is not an unlimited resource. And your mind is not an unlimited resource. Eventually, every human being reaches the same realization. Time ran out. The question is whether we will reach that moment having spent our time intentionally or having allowed someone else to spend it for us. We came into this world with 3 priceless possessions. Time to live. A mind to think. A body to experience the world. The modern algorithm discovered that it could monetize all 3. But there is something it cannot do. It cannot make you surrender them. Not unless you participate. And perhaps that is where our power still exists. Every time you close the screen, you reclaim a piece of your time. Every time you question what you're being shown, you reclaim a piece of your mind. Every time you choose movement over consumption, you reclaim a piece of your body. The greatest rebellion in the digital age may not be deleting every application.